So now we're going to discuss viruses for a minute. So we're going to talk about file infectors, boot sector viri, Trojan horses, macroviri, and polymorphic viri. So guidelines for AV programs. Get the right version for the operating system. No brainer there, right? Consider enabling the basic input-output system setting that disables boot sector writes. Sure, that's a good one. Protect your boot sector. Use caution with unknown floppy disks in computers. Back in the days of floppy disks, that was a big way to catch a virus, was right off of a floppy disk. And then they would go and infect your boot sector. So it's basically the way they're doing a rootkit today. Same kind of thing. When connected to the internet, run an AV program at all times. While loading programs, trust no one. When loading programs, trust no one. Keep the AV program updated. So today everyone's like, well, malware can bypass an AV. Why don't I just get rid of it? Well, you can, but it would still be prudent to use it. So you can, as an alternative, run like weekly scans for something like housecall.trendmicro.com. Housecall.trendmicro.com. That's free. If you're trying to charge you, you're clicking on the wrong thing. Just reread it. That's free. You can run a scan once a week. Start it on a Friday when you're going out or something, out to dinner, whatever. When you get up in the morning, just run a scan once a week. But it's good to have AV on your computer. So cleaning up the disk, you can add and remove different things. So you can go ahead and clean out your browsers and stuff like that. Using ScanDisk for drive integrity. This is important. You want to make sure that the ScanDisk checks everything and everything's looking healthy. If it's getting worse and worse and worse, then your drive's probably showing signs it's about to fail. Organizing files with the disk defragger. Remember we talked about a little bit of the file gets written here, a little over here, a little over here, a little over here, so it's kind of spread out. We want to put it all in one contiguous section. That's what defragging is about. Again, we don't really do this on today's computers. The drives are so big and fast, it's not a problem. File backups. Data loss is inevitable because drives fail and critical files become corrupt. True, you have to back up your stuff. They will not last forever. Developing a good backup plan is one of your most valuable services for your customers, right? Automating backups wherever possible ensures that they happen. So if they're done automatically, they're going to happen. Microsoft Windows ships with a built-in backup program. You can back up to tape or another hard disk program or removable media, or you can write scripts to do it, like a batch program. So types of backups. We have a normal backup, copies all selected files and marks them as a backup. It marks the ones that it backed up as backed up. And then straight copy backup, copies all selected files but does not mark them as backed up. A daily backup, copies all selected files that changed on the backup date. And then incremental backup, copies only the files that were created or changed since the last normal backup. And then a differential backup, copies all the files that have not been backed up since the last normal or incremental backup. You need to know these for the test. You will see a lot of questions about this. Backup plan issues. Select hardware based on the amount of data and the frequency of a backup. Use different backup types to balance backup and restore times. So you might put some things on a hard disk and some things on tape, or you back up to tape once a week and then you back up to a hard drive every day. Use normal backup at regular intervals with incremental or differential backups between normal backups. What's a normal backup again? Copies all selected files and marks them as backed up. What's an incremental backup? Copies only the files that were created or changed since the last normal backup. So you back up everything and then you do another incremental backup. It's only going to copy the things that were changed. And then what's a differential backup? Copies all of the files that have not been backed up since the last normal incremental backup. So anything that's not already normally or incrementally backed up, the differential will get. So use normal backups at regular intervals with incremental or differential backups between normal backups. Backup plan gotchas. Store backup copies in safe, environmentally sound locations. Make sure copies are secure. Keep long-term backups as protection against virus attacks, like CryptoLocker, for example. And then make sure that critical files are not open at backup time. Make sure that new backup components work with old backup copies. And then the only way to make sure that your restore is going to work is to practice and do a full restore and make sure that everything comes back okay. Using Windows backup tools. So they have a backup program. You just kind of select what you want and then where you want it to go. Backing up a registry and core system files. In Microsoft 2000 and Windows NT, select the System State option. This option requires proper permissions. System state data can only be backed up locally. In Microsoft 98 and Windows ME, use the Registry Checker command line application. So it tracks all changes to all file systems and ensures that any replacement files are valid. Notifies the sysadmin with improper file replacement is attempted. And then verifies the integrity of a system file and extracts and replaces corrupt or missing files. And generating ERDs, emergency recovery disks, and or startup disks. So all Windows 98 installations should have a startup floppy disk, i.e. the MBR can become corrupted very easily. It was common. So the same startup floppy can be used on multiple computers as long as they're running 98 or 98 SE, right? A startup disk can be created using add remove programs in Control Panel. All Microsoft Windows 2000 installations should have an emergency recovery disk. An ERD can be used only on the computer it was created for. An ERD can be created using the Windows 2000 backup utility. So let's see. For 98, the same startup floppy disk can be used on multiple computers. So Windows 98 startup disk can be used on any computer. But for Windows 2000, an emergency recovery disk had to be for that particular computer only. Okay, so that's a distinction there. And in summary, assemble a complete toolkit, advance your skills, get your continuing education going, and then practice preventative maintenance. Develop a backup plan, protect against viri, and regularly test, repair, and defrag the hard disks, drives, and the file system. Again, for the test, do that. You're not going to defrag in real life. The drives are big enough, you don't have to worry about it. And that's the end of this section.